Are you a student, mentor, or parent that loves robotics?
Then you're in the right place.
Up-to-date info on all things robotics. This
is the RoboZone Podcast
with your host, Pete Eckman. The RoboZone Podcast is brought to you by Kettering University. It's a Kettering-built world.
Hello and welcome to the 39th episode of the RoboZone Podcast. This podcast is for Tuesday, November 14th. In this episode, we talk to John from the Hammerheads out of Troy, Michigan about an event in Troy, Michigan coming up this weekend. In addition, we give you the checklist that you need if you have a new FRC team to get ready for the season. So, get ready for the episode, get your favorite popcorn, get your favorite pop, and let's get to the interview.
The RoboZone Podcast is brought to you by AndyMark.com. Your robot parts experts.
Hi, this is Pete Eckman with the RoboZone Podcast. With me tonight I have John from the Hammerheads. John, introduce yourself, please.
Hi, my name is John, too. I am the coach of FRC 226 Hammerheads out of Troy. Our students are from Troy High School and Athens High School.
And you may not know this, John, but you guys kind of have a legacy, a little bit of a following on the podcast because it came up of last year. One of the subjects came up was how big a team can get. And I think you have somewhere around 110 kids on your team, right?
Well, that was last year. This year, we actually, our official count right now is 182, believe it or not. That's pretty big.
For one team. This is one FRC team, right?
One FRC team, correct. We do draw students from two high schools, so right. I think that kind of helped contribute to the large number of our team members.
So give the listening audience a little bit of background on how you get to 182.
Well, we do active recruitment, but also a lot of this is by word of mouth. And so our team does not have a active policy of restricting certain members to become part of our team. And so consequently, our philosophy so far has been we welcome any students who's interested in STEM, and then we'll provide the opportunity for them to participate. And so, as friends hear from their friends about our team members, they tend to join. And so, our teams are split into, in general, two large groups. We got the engineering group and we got the business group. And a lot of kids are in business. We have 40 students on our marketing team. On the engineering side, one of the biggest team is our programming, which has about 50 students in it. So I think it just, through the years, it kind of grew. And we have a lot of girls, too. A third of our team members are girls, so we're quite proud of that.
Did you guys compete last weekend at the event in, I know I'm going to say Madison Heights, but I know it was Bloomfield Hills?
Yeah, it was just over this past weekend, Saturday, we competed at Bloomfield Girls Robotics competition. We have done so in the past 3 years or so. And we also had a mini maker fair with Barnes & Noble concurrently Saturday and Sunday. And so we had to split our team into these outreach events. But it was, we had about 25 people at Bloomfield Girls Robotics competition. And about 50-some students end up at the Barnes & Noble outreach event with us.
How did the competition go? Was it a pretty cool event?
Yeah, I think it's exciting for the girls, because we have a separate tryout session for our girls, and we ended up selecting 6 students, two members on a primary drive team, 2 on the backup drive team, and they both get to drive, and we have a couple of human players, including the pilot, and so 6 girls were on the field, and we have a fairly large fabrication team, and quite a bit of it are girls too. So our pit crew is all girls, except for we have a student leader who's a boy who kind of helped out guiding the girls on the repair. So it worked out well. The team did, I believe, I myself spent most of my time at Barnes & Nobles to help out with that outreach event. But I think we came in ranked maybe 13th or 11th, and got picked as the first pick from the 8th seed. So we were in the quarterfinals, won the first match, but didn't win the next two matches against the top seeded team. So
yeah,
but,
I heard,
that was
the Engine Nerds won that one, right? Engine Nerds, the Killer Bees, and I can't remember who the third alliance partner was.
Yeah. So I think it was exciting for the girls, at least for one match, that they were able to beat the top rated team. But we'll have to do better next time.
Sure. So I mean, it's with 182 kids, John. It's pretty easy to run two separate events, right?
Theoretically so, but sometimes we're limited by the number of mentors that we could muscle up to help attend some of these events. So for this event, we had 3 mentors at the Bloomfield Girls Robotics Competition, and I kind of mentored the kids at the Barnes & Noble's event. So it worked out okay, but I think for us, right now, I'm thinking mentors is more of a limitations for us. Otherwise, we could manage multiple large events.
Right. Have you ever thought about making it into 2 teams and, splitting them off? I'm just thinking.
Yeah, we thought about that. We started thinking about that last year when we had the large number of students. And we are currently working pretty hard at trying to get more sponsors, because I think sponsorship and sustainability with continued funding from sponsors is a critical part to a successful FRC team. So that's currently really our limitation at this time. We are starting to raise more money, but unless we can get more sponsorship, it will be hard to officially split off into a separate Athens team and a Troy High School team. So right now we're working on the fundraising part. I think the Troy High School location there are some facilities that we can use, some machine shop tools we can use. So from that perspective, we're probably okay. It's really the fundraising part that has not been as easy as we thought.
Right. And I know, just like you do, I've started a new team. So we're going after our very first sponsors and just trying to get that traction to start. It seems like a huge task trying to get it done.
Yeah, it is. And I think it depends on whether or not you move on to potentially Michigan State Championship or even further. Each event adds quite a bit of additional registration fee. Certainly, I think get a team started, tackling 2 First in Michigan events. Registration fee there is $5,000, and plus probably you need another $5,000-$6,000 to get equipment and build your robot. I think that itself is probably doable should we want to split. But I want to make sure the team has a solid foundation to have money to buy future equipment, because I know just for our Troy team alone, our team currently operating expenses probably about $30,000+ a year annually, and so I want to make sure that we have enough money before we split off into second team. Or something we can consider in the future is the same team possibly build 2 robots and register 2 robots, but we'll have to figure all that details out.
Sure, sounds like you have a lot of potential growth in the near future. It's just 180. I thought I was blown away with 110 last year. And now you're saying 182. I'm like, holy, crap! I've got 15 registered, and I was pulling every trick I could to get people signed up. So
yeah, when we meet Wednesday evenings is when we usually meet. It's a daunting task because we have to secure probably about 10 different classrooms along with wood shop and cat room to get everybody situated so that they can break off into their own individual teams. And so it's quite a bit of work. And the largest lecture room in the school holds about, just over 100 people. And so our attendance is not always 100%, but I think we get enough people, with standing room only in our Wednesday night meetings. And because of the large group, we also consistently have been starting to do early summer training during the summer. So we go year round almost. We start our training probably mid-June, and just go year-round through the summer and then continue throughout the entire season.
Well, John, I appreciate you telling us a little bit more about the Hammerheads. You know, anyone that's listening, some like my team being a rookie team, we always want to know what the big teams do, trying to, knowledge share, that type of thing. And mentors are always willing to help each other out, which is the greatest thing I think about, FIRST Robotics. So let's talk about why I got you on the podcast tonight. We wanted to learn a little bit more about the Hammerheads. We can check that box off. So tell us, you have a little event coming up, and I'm really undermining that. How big of an event do you have going on this weekend?
So this weekend, November 18th, is our annual first LEGO League robotics tournament that we host every year. It's called Shark Fest. Typically, we have 20 elementary school teams. This year, we decided to expand it a little bit more in terms of, in addition to just the first LEGO League tournament plus the junior first LEGO League competition, we added an event called Troy Science Festival. And what that is, we have all these students here from K through 12 working with robotics tournaments. It would be great if we could showcase all kinds of different robots, all kinds of different science, STEM activities to even attract students as well as the community who comes out here and watch the robotics tournament and watch the science festival. And so we're expanding that this year to have the official Troy Science Festival concurrent with our robotics competition. And this year we also increased our tournament size up to 22 elementary school teams to accommodate several new Troy teams that were formed that wanted to compete. And we have been recruiting local technology companies, robotics companies to come out and showcase STEM activities. So, for example, Acme Manufacturing out of Auburn Hills, they'll be bringing their robot out to our event. They have a robotic arm that will be programmed to sort of hand out, pens to attendees. And we also have Kimvert, who do a lot of robotics education. They'll also be on site showcasing their robots. In addition to that, we also have our FRC robots, and we have our FTC robots. And some of the other FLL teams will also all be showcasing their different types of robot. And we'll have a full field for FTC teams to showcase their robots. And our science teachers will be doing chemistry and physics demonstrations. In addition to that, we'll also have an auto shop. Recently have a auto shop that's recently revamped to increase technology education at our school. And we'll have these automotive engines out there for students to touch and feel and learn about. So I think it's going to be a pretty exciting event for the Troy community. But anyone who's in Southeast Michigan who would like to stop by Troy High School this Saturday, November 18th, the opening ceremony is at 9 a.m. and it continues through about 3 to 4 p.m. that afternoon.
Where's that at again, John?
It is at Troy High School in the city of Troy. Okay, the address of Troy High School is 4777 North Field Parkway in Troy, Michigan.
I'll put that in the show notes as well, John, just so people have a link to it. Maybe I can get a map quest to it or a Google Map, link to it, so that everyone can do that. And I'm going to be there, so I'm coming there to see you guys. We talked a little bit about that in the email going back and forth. So I'm going to bring one of the RoboZone cameras with me, and we're going to capture some footage and that type of thing, and maybe do some interviews with people walking around. So it'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking very much.
And a couple other things that I mentioned is. We're in the area where Beaumont health system is fairly active. So we invited Beaumont Children's Hospital. They have a Bow Bear that they're going to bring out. So it'll be fun and entertaining for many of the younger children. Because they do partner with us at Troy High School for some of the charity events. So we think it's going to be lots of fun activities for everyone, so they could kind of watch the robotics tournament, enjoy themselves, and then go and look at all the different scientific activities that we have around. And hopefully, some of these students will be attracted to the STEM field, and I think that is ultimately our goal.
Oh yeah, your goal, my goal, first in Michigan goal, first in the world's goal is trying to get more kids into STEM. So John, I thank you for all the information. Again, I'm going to be there. RoboZone's going to be there to see you guys, and that's going to be kind of cool. So let's switch gears a little bit. So
yeah,
there's this teaser video out. People might have heard of Power Up is the upcoming game that we're going to be doing, and all the kids that I know of outside of my team, and all the other teams are starting to strategize or trying to figure out what's going on. Is it going to be a climbing game? Are we going to have to build a wall? Is it going to be a mock arcade game? That type of thing. So do you have any theory about what Power Up's going to be?
For myself, I'm fairly new at this coaching job. This is actually my 4th year doing it. One thing I would say is I could never guess from their clues on what it's going to be. Students always think it's going to be some type of water game involved. I'm not sure. I know is what our team is doing is they are practicing building, designing different type of chassis. They're guessing what it can be, but I think it really is wide open. I personally, I don't think about the actual game designs too much, other than try to prepare our teams to make sure they know what they're doing in terms of the designing process, the timeline for making certain decisions. So we're actively working on that so that we follow a good project plan, because the timeline is extremely short, 6.5 weeks. And so do I know what it is, what I'm trying to anticipate? I'm sure many of our students have thought about it, but I haven't really spent too much time on it yet. I'm just trying to administratively get our team ready for the competition.
You're trying to get through this weekend too, right? There's a lot of planning behind that. So.
Oh yeah, and I think trying to get students signed up through, STEMs and trying to get them work through the first website to sign up is somewhat challenging too. Every year they kind of change the web interface and the sign-up process. So we're trying to get through all that. But in the end, usually we have many students, good students who will help out and volunteer. So with 182 strong, I have no doubt, it'll be a good turnout for everybody, and it'll be a great event.
So, John, what 2 events have you registered for the upcoming FRC season?
We have registered for, our first event. Well, I shouldn't say our first event. The first one that we sign up for is always our home event, which we host at Athens High School in Troy. And so that's week 5, the Troy district event. And then for the second round of sign up, we ended up getting our third choice, which is the Milford week 3 event. And Milford is packed with, I think, some of the very top-notch teams. So we hope to do well there against all the top teams there, but certainly, Killer Bees and others are at the Milford event. It's a new event, I think, this year.
It's a new event, and it's going to be, from what everyone has said. I've talked to multiple people about this, even on the podcast, and it sounds like it's going to be like the event of the year, other than like state championships. It's going to be the hardest one. So
yeah,
the cream rises to the top, John. And as a prior sports coach, I always want to be challenged with the best teams out there, so that if we don't win, and everyone wants to win, but if you don't win, at least you know what it's like to go up against the top-notch teams. So that makes your team a little bit better, right?
Yeah,
all
absolutely. Yeah, and we also are trying to sign up for a week 1 or week 2 event out of our Michigan district, possibly St. Joseph, Indiana event. And we've also will try to get a week 1 event in Ontario to get our team ready.
That's a smart strategy. I know there are a couple teams that do that. Of course, that just adds that cost onto it. I can't put my team in that situation. Maybe in a couple years, but you guys have been a well-established team for a little while. These us rookie teams, I'm trying to shoot for those special rookie awards so that I can get an automatic pass into the state finals. The state championships.
Yes.
So that's what I'm focusing my team for. So
yeah. And
we all have our strategies.
Yeah. And I should also mention, I think our team president Dikshan Sharma somehow also convinced us to sign up for a week 6 FIM event, and so Mirrorsville, which is week number 6. So I think if this all turns out, it could be a really, really crazy year for us. Going to
it sounds like it already is.
Yeah, 4 events out of the 4 weeks out of the 6 weeks in competition. So we'll see. There's some of this is still in flux, so we'll see how that all goes.
Well, we'll be able to tell, and your bot will be rock solid if it can land. If it can make it through all that and then go to championships. I think you have a really well designed and engineered bot at that point. I mean, being able to know what's going to break down and then repair it real fast. And you guys have the brain power to do it. So that's a huge task.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you go to that many competitions, the wear and tear on the robot certainly is significant. But one advantage, and I don't know if that's an advantage or not, as student tells me, is you get to almost work on the robot almost every week, just because of the time you're allowed to before the competition. That's a plus, but I think I'm worried about the burnout factors. But the seniors really want to push for it. They want to make the best out of this season, and so we'll see how that goes.
And those seniors want to go to Worlds because Worlds in our backyard. It's in Detroit this year for the next 3 years. So
absolutely
helps mitigate some of those costs to go to Worlds, though. That's nice to have.
Yeah, I think logistically, I still don't know how that exactly will work out. Just because certainly we probably won't need to get hotels, but transporting everybody there every morning in the traffic, I'm not sure how exactly that will work out. But I hope logistically that can all be handled so that it's not a big traffic jam every morning.
Right, and I think even the city of Detroit, because this is the first time that it's going to be here. I'm hoping some of those people went to St. Louis and then Houston to see how they did it there and tried to do some lessons learned. If we know anything about, anything in first, we try to do is a lessons learned approach so that we don't, have to start from scratch. We already kind of know what the winning recipe is. We just have to refine it.
Yeah. In St. Louis, I think it was nice that you could probably get a hotel near downtown and be able to walk to the competition site. Here in Detroit, most of the Michigan team that's going to go there, presumably, if you're in Southeast Michigan, you're going to probably stay home and not get a hotel, except maybe for the drive team, but we'll see.
That's a good point. That's a good point because you want the drive team to be as close to the competition site as possible.
Yeah. So I think, that's going to have increased effect on travel. So we'll see how that goes.
I thought about buying an old school bus and just retrofitting it into one of those mobile home buses. I've seen people, there's shows on TV that do it. So maybe we find a broken down bus and we do some work on it, and then we have our own mobile home down there and we can just park it right next to the competition. Just saying.
Oh, boy. You are ambitious.
I'm trying to keep up with you, John. I'm trying to keep up with you. All right. Well,
yeah.
John,
so if you need help, maybe we'll bring half of our students to go help you build that mobile home.
I mean, they could start it from scratch. I mean, 182. There's a lot of people there. There's a lot of helping hands. John, I want to thank you for coming on the podcast tonight. Thank you for everything that you're doing for the first community in Michigan and around the country. Around the world for that matter. I mean, you can never have too many kids that are learning STEM. So I look forward to seeing you on Saturday morning. It'll be nice and bright. Bright and early. If anyone's listening to this podcast, make it out to Troy. I mean, here's an excuse. Get out of the Michigan weather. Go indoors where it's nice and warm. I mean, can you have any more motivation than that?
Yeah, no, Pete, thank you very much. I really appreciate for inviting me to the podcast. We appreciate all the publicity you're helping us and, bring out the robotics and STEM to everyone who is interested.
It's my pleasure. So, John, I'm going to hang up. Thank you for coming on the podcast, and I will see you bright and early on Saturday morning.
Thank you very much, Pete. Bye-bye.
Thanks, John.
I would once again like to thank John from the Hammerheads for coming on the podcast, giving us all the information in the background about his team, as well as the event coming up here in Michigan this coming weekend. If you have the chance, please stop by. Sounds like it's going to be a great event. I'll be there. Maybe we can get you on the podcast. So I want to thank you for listening to the 39th episode of the RoboZone Podcast. You can follow us on SoundCloud and iTunes. Thank you for listening. See you next week.
The RoboZone Podcast is brought to you by Kettering University. It's a Kettering-built world. Thanks for listening to the RoboZone Podcast with your host, Pete Ekman. Find us online at RoboZoneTV.com and on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram.